Hey guys, what's up? This is Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So in the video today, I'm going to be discussing basically how do I organize my notes for didactic year and clinical year. It was a question that was asked by one of my YouTube subscribers, so I decided to answer this question, okay? So I'll be switching the camera real quick and then you'll be able to see it from the view from my iPad. So I really recommend for PA school, didactic year and clinical year if you can, to invest in an iPad. I use my iPad every day. I use it a lot more than my computer. I think, if anything, I only use my computer to take my exams. That's it. I use my iPad because I have all my textbooks on there. I have all my notes from didactic and clinical year on there. And then I use it also to watch like osmosis videos, YouTube videos, etc. I use my iPad for everything. And I recommend it. I highly recommend it. It's a really good investment. If you can, get it with the keyboard also. With the keyboard, it helps you take notes during class. Also, get it with the pen. This is actually the pen that it comes with. I really recommend it. This is a sleeve that I got for it. But with the pen, you can go in there and highlight on your notes, on your textbooks. You can write, etc. And it's awesome. I think it's the best investment I've made, and I love it. So I really recommend an iPad because I use it for everything. Like I said, I have everything on there, my textbooks, everything, and then you have everything in an organized matter. Versus if you're writing notes, I mean, if you're a really organized person, that's great. But the other day I was actually cleaning out my apartment because I was moving out. And I was having to throw a lot of old notes that I had from my didactic year before I purchased my iPad. And so it was a lot. And then here you have everything. You can just search for it through the Notability app. You don't have to go in there and flip through pages to see where your note was. So that's another plus about my having an iPad, so I really recommend it. Alright guys, so I'm going to switch the view, okay?
So I have all my notes subdivided depending on what class I have. So for example, for PA school, you're going to have your clinical medicine class, you'll have your pathophysiology class, a pharmacology class, and then anatomy class. So as you can see, I have a pharmacology tab, and then underneath that I have subtabs. So I have subtabs depending on what organ system we are studying for my didactic year. So as you can see here, I have it divided in HENT, I have it divided in cardio, neuro, and then in each one of those subtabs, I will put whatever study material I use to study for that exam. Also, the PowerPoints that my professors gave us, as you can see from the previous, that there was some PowerPoints that my professors actually made for us, so I would put it in there. And then also any notes that some of my classmates would make or charts that I used to study for my pharmacology exams. And then also the other subtab that you're seeing here is anatomy, and then under each one you're seeing that I have it divided depending once again on what body parts we are studying, whether it's the upper and lower limb, the abdomen, head and neck. And then I would also add notes there that I used for studying for my anatomy exams, any PowerPoints that I have for my professors. And then for my EKG class, which was another class that is mandatory for PA school, I also added some notes that I had on each one. And then another one, clinical medicine, was another tab. As you can see, on each tab, I divided it once again on the organ system that we're studying. So OB-GYN, you saw the slides there that were given by my professors. And then also any notes that I have, any review that I have that were given by my professors. And that's how I organize my notes, as you can see here. And honestly, this organization has worked good for me because during my clinical year, I'm able to go back and study these PowerPoints, study these notes that I made for my didactic year for my rotations. Like if I'm OB-GYN rotation, I would be studying these PowerPoints and the notes that I made or that I got from some of my classmates during my didactic year. And then also, as you can see, here's the other tab that I have for pathophysiology. Once again, I divided it similar to the pharmacology and clinical medicine tabs that I showed previously, and I divided it according to this body system that we're studying. And then for end of rotation exams, which is going to be for your clinical year, I divided it according to whatever rotation I'm in. So if I'm in the surgery rotation, I added the blueprint for the surgery end of rotation exam. I also added any textbooks that I used for that rotation. So you just saw the blueprint surgery book. So that's how I organized that for my end of rotation exams. And then as you can see, you're also able to add any type of textbooks on there. And on Notability, so you're able to do that. But to be honest with you, I prefer the Books app on your iPads, your Apple iPads, because I feel like it's more easy to maneuver, and you're able to go through it and search it. So I prefer to import my textbooks on the Books app rather than the Notability app.
But yeah, those are my notes, guys. As you can see, for example, for my ICM, which is basically my clinical medicine introduction to clinical medicine, what I would do is I would divide the subjects. So if we were in our OB-GYN block, then I would do OB-GYN, and then I would divide it on to the next one for like GI. So I divided that. Same with my pharmacology, whether it was something medications that were going over cardiovascular medications, and I would put them under cardiovascular. Whether it was medications for the gastrointestinal, I would always put them on there too. For anatomy, similar. If we were studying the upper limb, the bones or the muscles of the upper limb, then I would put upper limb. If we were studying the lower limb, if we were studying the thoracic area, for example, the cranial nerves, etc. That's how I also divided them, as you can see. And then as you can see, also I had a lot of textbooks, whether it was on my Notability app or my Books apps. Personally, I like Notability a little bit better because you can actually highlight on there and write versus your Books app. For some reason, you can highlight it, but it goes away. I still haven't figured that click out. So I tend to use Notability more for my textbooks. I'll use my Books apps here and there if it's for like fun reading, as you saw some of my fun books on there, but mostly I use it Notability for my books. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I really recommend Notability. Most of my classmates, if not all of them, do use Notability because there's so many things you can do with it. While you're in class, you can not only add notes to it and type and highlight, but you can also record the professor. So in certain cases where we had like an exam review, I would record the professor on top of my notes. And so when you're studying, you can also hear the recording, which is pretty awesome. So Notability has a lot of cool things, and then you can actually even go on there and search. So it searches all your notes if you're looking for something specifically, or if you don't remember where you put, for example, a certain note where it was, it'll search all of your notes and it'll tell you where it's located. So I think that's really, really awesome about it also. And if you notice, like I also had the little blue dots on each one, so whether the subjects were under, for example, my clinical medicine, pathophysiology, or pharmacology, I had those huge ones, and I'm able to collapse them or not collapse them. And then when I collapse them, you can see everything, right? All the subjects on there. So that's another plus about Notability. But yeah, that's basically how I divide my notes. I use them to this day. I'm currently a clinical year student, like I said. During my clinical rotations, I've used my didactic years, so make sure that you keep hold of your didactic PowerPoints because you are going to need them definitely during your clinical year. So it's really good and important to be organized with your notes. Okay. All right, guys. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.